Christie's Auction House, New York City. The Grand Hall is filled with wealthy collectors, museum representatives, and curious onlookers. Crystal chandeliers hang from the ceiling, casting warm light over the assembled crowd. At the front of the room, on a mannequin behind glass, hangs a dress, not just any dress. The dress, white, pleated, iconic. The dress Marilyn Monroe wore in The 7-Year Itch when she stood over the subway grate and the wind blew her skirt up. The most famous dress in cinema history. The auctioneer, a distinguished man in his 60s named Charles Whitmore, steps to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, lot 157. The ivory-pleated cocktail dress worn by Marilyn Monroe in the iconic subway grate scene from The 7-Year Itch, 1955. Designed by William Travilla, authenticated and preserved. Opening bid, $1 million, hands shoot up immediately. The bidding is fierce. 1 million, 1.5, 2 million, 2.5, 3 million, 3.5, 4 million, 4.2, $4.6 million. Going once, going twice. Sold. The gavel comes down with a sharp crack. The crowd applauds. The winning bidder, a private collector from Dubai, nods with satisfaction. $4.6 million for a dress. But it's not just a dress, it's a piece of history. A piece of Marilyn Monroe, a piece of the fantasy. The dress is carefully removed from the mannequin by white-gloved handlers, placed in a custom-made archival box, sealed, shipped. It arrives in Dubai 3 days later, traveling in climate-controlled cargo, insured for $10 million. The collector, a man named Hassan al-Rashid, receives it in his private museum, a massive building filled with rare artifacts, paintings, sculptures, and memorabilia. He has an entire wing dedicated to Hollywood history, costumes from classic films, props from famous movies, and now, the crown jewel, Marilyn Monroe's dress. He places it in a special display case, temperature-controlled, humidity-controlled, UV-filtered glass, alarm systems, security cameras. The dress hangs there, pristine and perfect, under soft lighting. Hassan stands before it, admiring his purchase. "Beautiful," he whispers. "Absolutely beautiful." But he doesn't know. He can't know. Nobody knows. The dress has a secret. The dress remembers. If fabric could speak, if thread could testify, if a dress could tell its story, this is what it would say. The dress remembers everything. Every moment, every touch, every tear. It was born in 1954, created by costume designer William Travilla in the wardrobe department at 20th Century Fox. White silk crepe, pleated accordion style, simple but elegant, designed to catch the light, to flow, to move. Travilla worked on it for weeks, perfecting every pleat, every stitch. He knew this dress would be important. The scene was already famous before it was filmed. The studio had leaked details to the press. Marilyn Monroe, white dress, subway grate, wind. It was designed to be iconic, and it was. The dress was fitted to Marilyn's body multiple times. She stood in the wardrobe room, arms outstretched, while seamstresses pinned and adjusted. The dress remembers her body. Thin, too thin. Ribs visible through the fabric. Hip bones jutting out. She was on one of her diets again. Grapefruit and champagne. Black coffee and cigarettes. The studio demanded she stay thin. The camera added 10 pounds, they said. So she starved. The dress felt her body trembling during fittings, from hunger, from exhaustion, from pills. Uppers to wake up, downers to sleep, a constant chemical cocktail just to function. The night of the filming, September 15, 1954. Not in a studio, but on location in New York City, Lexington Avenue and 52nd Street. A real street, a real subway grate, real crowds. The studio wanted authenticity. They wanted the energy of New York. They got more than they bargained for. The dress remembers being put on Marilyn that evening. Her dressing room was a trailer parked nearby. She stood in her underwear, shivering. It was a warm night, but she was always cold. Always. The wardrobe assistant, a kind woman named Ruth, helped her into the dress, zipped it up the back, adjusted the straps. "You look beautiful, Miss Monroe," Ruth said softly. Marilyn looked at herself in the mirror, smiled that smile. "Thank you, darling." But the dress felt her body tense, felt her heart racing. She was terrified, not of the scene, of the crowd. Thousands of people had gathered to watch. Word had spread that Marilyn Monroe was filming in Manhattan. Thousands of fans, photographers, curious onlookers, all there to see her, to see the dress, to see the wind blow her skirt up, to see her legs, her body, her body, her body. She was a spectacle, a show, a thing to be looked at. The director, Billy Wilder, called for quiet. The scene was simple. Marilyn and her co-star, Tom Ewell, would walk down the street, stop at the subway grate. She would stand over it. The wind from the subway train below would blow her skirt up. She would laugh, try to hold it down, enjoy the cool breeze. Playful, sexy, innocent. That was the idea. Take one. The wind machine was positioned below the grate, cameras rolling. Action. Marilyn walked to the grate, stood over it. The wind machine turned on. The dress billowed up, the pleats spreading like wings. The crowd erupted, cheering, whistling, shouting, cameras flashing. Hundreds of photographers capturing the moment. Marilyn laughed, holding the skirt down, but not too much. Just enough. The dress felt her hands shaking, felt her smile, but also felt something else. Shame. Deep, burning shame. She was exposed, literally and figuratively. Her legs visible, her underwear almost visible. Thousands of people staring, consuming her with their eyes. The dress wanted to cover her, to protect her, but it couldn't. It was designed to fly up, designed to expose. That was its purpose. Cut. Billy Wilder wasn't satisfied. Again. More playful, more surprised. Like you've never felt wind before. Take two. Same thing. Walk. Stop. Wind. Dress flies up. Crowd cheers. Marilyn laughs. But the dress felt her trembling more now. Take three. Take four. Take five. Over and over. Each time, the crowd grew louder, more aggressive. Men shouting crude things. Show us more, Marilyn. Take it off. We love you, baby. The dress felt her humiliation growing with each take. This wasn't acting. This wasn't art. This was exploitation. This was a woman being turned into an object for the entertainment of thousands, and she had to smile through it, had to laugh, had to pretend she was enjoying it, because that's what Marilyn Monroe did. She performed, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. In the crowd watching from the sidelines was Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn's husband. They'd been married only 8 months. He stood there, his face dark with anger, watching his wife's dress blow up, watching men leer at her, watching her be turned into a spectacle. He was furious, humiliated. His wife, exposed like this, for the world to see. The dress saw him, felt the tension. This would not end well. After the 14th take, Billy Wilder finally called it. That's a wrap on this scene. Beautiful work, Marilyn. Absolutely perfect. The crowd dispersed slowly, reluctantly, wanting more. Marilyn walked back to her trailer, the dress still on her. Ruth helped her out of it. Marilyn said nothing, just stood there, staring at nothing. The dress was hung on a rack. It had done its job. It had created an iconic moment. But at what cost? That night, in their hotel room, Joe DiMaggio exploded. The dress couldn't see it, but it would hear about it later from Ruth, who heard it from other crew members. Joe yelled. Marilyn cried. He called her names. Said she humiliated him. Humiliated herself. Said she was nothing but a whore for the cameras. She tried to explain. It was just a scene. Just a movie. Just her job. But he didn't understand. Couldn't understand. To him she was his wife. His private wife. Not a public commodity. Not a thing for men to fantasize about. The fight lasted hours. Things were thrown. Doors were slammed. By morning, their marriage was effectively over. They would divorce 2 months later. The dress had destroyed a marriage, not intentionally, but it had, because the dress represented everything Joe hated about Marilyn's career. The sexualization, the objectification, the performance, the lie. The dress was packed away after filming, stored in the Fox wardrobe archives. It hung there in the dark for years, surrounded by thousands of other costumes, dresses from other films, suits, coats, uniforms, all forgotten. But the dress remembered. It remembered Marilyn's body, her trembling, her shame, her performance. Years passed. 1955. The film was released. The scene became instantly iconic. The image of Marilyn in the white dress, skirt blowing up, became one of the most recognizable images in the world. Posters, postcards, magazine covers, Halloween costumes. The dress became more famous than the film itself, but Marilyn never wore it again. never wanted to see it again. It reminded her of that night. The crowd, the humiliation, Joe's anger. The end of her marriage. The dress was a beautiful prison, a symbol of her captivity. Marilyn Monroe died. The dress hung in the archives, unaware, but slowly, its value changed. It was no longer just a costume. It was a relic, a piece of a dead woman, a saint's garment. The dress became holy. In 1971, the dress was sold at auction for the first time. It went for $1,250. A costume collector bought it, displayed it in his home, showed it to guests. "This is the dress, Marilyn Monroe's dress." People would gasp, touch it gently. The dress felt their reverence, their worship. It was no longer just fabric. It was a connection to Marilyn, to the fantasy, to the dream. The collector died in 1985. The dress was sold again, this time for $18,000, then again in 1999 for $42,000. Each time, the price increased. Each time, the dress became more valuable, not because of its craftsmanship, not because of its design, but because Marilyn Monroe wore it, because her body touched it, because it was part of her story. The dress was loaned to a museum exhibition. Marilyn Monroe, Life and Legend. The dress was displayed in a glass case, the centerpiece of the exhibition. Thousands of people came to see it. They stood in front of it, staring, taking pictures, reading the placard. The ivory-pleated dress worn by Marilyn Monroe in the 7-Year Itch, 1955. On loan from a private collection. The dress watched them. So many people, so much fascination, but none of them knew, none of them understood. They saw the dress as a symbol of glamour, of Hollywood, of Marilyn Monroe's iconic status, but the dress knew the truth. It was a symbol of exploitation, of objectification, of a woman who had to smile while being humiliated, of a woman who had to perform even when it destroyed her. The dress wanted to scream, to tell them, but it couldn't. It could only hang there, silent, beautiful, complicit. A young woman stood in front of the dress for a long time. She was maybe 25, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She stared at the dress with tears in her eyes. A security guard noticed. "Are you okay, miss?" The woman nodded. "I'm fine. It's just, I always loved Marilyn Monroe. I thought she was so glamorous, so confident, so happy. But the more I learn about her, the more I realize she was miserable. She was trapped. This dress, everyone sees it as iconic. But I see it as a cage. A beautiful cage, but still a cage." The guard nodded slowly. "That's a good way to put it." The woman wiped her eyes. She died so young, only 36, and she spent her whole life performing, being what everyone wanted her to be, never just being herself. It's sad. It's really sad. She took one last look at the dress. "I'm sorry, Marilyn. I'm sorry we did this to you." Then she walked away. The dress felt something. If fabric could feel, it felt seen. For the first time, someone understood. The dress was purchased by a wealthy collector for $3.8 million. It was shipped to Los Angeles, stored in a climate-controlled vault. The collector, a tech billionaire named Marcus Chen, never displayed it, never showed it to anyone. He just wanted to own it, to possess a piece of Marilyn Monroe. The dress hung in the dark vault, alone. It thought about Marilyn, about that night in 1954, about her trembling body, her forced smile, her humiliation. The dress wondered, if it could go back, would it refuse to fly up, would it stay down, protecting her, even if it meant ruining the scene? But the dress had no choice. It was designed to fly, designed to expose, designed to create the iconic moment. It was as trapped as Marilyn was. Both of them prisoners of expectation, of performance, of the male gaze. Marcus Chen decided to sell. He needed cash for a new venture. The dress went to auction at Christie's. $4.6 million, a new record. The dress was shipped to Dubai, placed in Hassan al-Rashid's private museum, and there it hangs now, in 2024, 5 years later. Behind UV-filtered glass, under perfect lighting, temperature-controlled, humidity-controlled, preserved forever. The dress is now 70 years old. The fabric is fragile, the pleats are delicate. Conservators handle it with extreme care. It cannot be worn, cannot be touched, can only be looked at. The dress has become what Marilyn became, an object, a thing to be displayed, to be admired, to be consumed with the eyes, never to be truly known, never to be truly understood. just a beautiful surface hiding a painful truth. Sometimes, late at night, when the museum is closed and the lights are dimmed, the dress hangs in the silence. And if fabric could remember, if thread could testify, the dress remembers. It remembers Marilyn's body, thin and trembling. It remembers her smile, forced and painful. It remembers the crowd, thousands of eyes consuming her. It remembers Joe DiMaggio's anger. It remembers the end of a marriage. It remembers being packed away, being sold, being displayed, being worshipped. It remembers 70 years of being an icon, but it also remembers the truth. The truth that no one wants to hear, that the iconic moment was built on humiliation, that the famous image was created through exploitation, that Marilyn Monroe smiled while dying inside, that the dress, beautiful and perfect, was a tool of her destruction. If the dress could speak, it would say, "I am not a symbol of glamour. I am a symbol of pain. I am not a celebration of Marilyn Monroe. I am evidence of what we did to her. I am not iconic. I am tragic. Look at me and see the truth. See the woman who wore me, trembling and ashamed. See the crowd that consumed her. See the husband who left her. See the industry that used her. See the world that killed her. I am not beautiful. I am a crime scene. And I have been hanging here for 70 years, waiting for someone to understand, waiting for someone to see, waiting for someone to say, this was wrong, what we did to her was wrong, and we should never do it again." But no one hears. No one understands. They just see a white dress, pleated, iconic, beautiful, worth millions. They take pictures, they admire, they move on, and the dress hangs there, silent, knowing, remembering, a witness to a crime that everyone celebrates, a keeper of secrets that everyone ignores. The dress that knew, the dress that knows, the dress that will always know, until it finally disintegrates into dust, and even then, the memory will remain, woven into the fabric of history. A beautiful lie covering an ugly truth. That is the story of the dress. That is the secret of the icon. That is what no one wants to hear. But the dress knows. The dress has always known. And now you know too. In the museum, a young girl visits with her mother. She's maybe 10 years old. She sees the dress and her eyes widen. "Mommy, look, it's so pretty." The mother smiles. That's Marilyn Monroe's dress. From a very famous movie, the girl presses her face against the glass. "I want to be like Marilyn Monroe when I grow up. She was so beautiful and famous and everyone loved her." The mother's smile fades slightly. She knows the truth, knows how Marilyn's story ended. She kneels down next to her daughter. "Sweetheart, Marilyn Monroe was beautiful, but she was also very sad. Being famous isn't always happy. Sometimes it's very hard. Sometimes people only love you for how you look, not for who you are. Do you understand?" The girl thinks about this. "So, I shouldn't want to be like her." The mother touches her daughter's face gently. "You should want to be yourself, not a performance, not what other people want you to be. Just you. That's enough. That's more than enough." The girl nods slowly. "Okay, Mommy." They move on to the next exhibit, but the dress heard, and if the dress could smile it would. Because finally, someone is learning the lesson Marilyn never got to teach. Be yourself, not the performance, not the icon, not the fantasy. Just yourself. That is enough. The dress hangs in the museum, will hang there for years to come, maybe decades, maybe centuries. Long after everyone who knew Marilyn Monroe is dead, long after everyone who saw the 7-year itch in theaters is gone, the dress will remain. A beautiful artifact, an iconic piece of history, but also a witness, a keeper of truth, a reminder. If we choose to listen, if we choose to see, if we choose to understand, the dress knew Marilyn Monroe, not the icon, the woman, the trembling, scared, exploited woman, and the dress remembers, will always remember. That is its burden. That is its purpose. That is its truth. The dress that knew. The screen goes dark. The last text appears. The dress that knew, 1954 to 2024. 70 years of silence. 70 years of truth. Then some objects remember what we choose to forget. Silence, darkness, and